So there's no doubt that we've all seen a drop in buyers. So word's getting out, articles are written, the interest rates are a little high right now. So not as many homes are getting closed, or lenders are not having as many pre-approval letters they're writing and things like that. That being said, I can tell you we're still taking in earnest money. Y'all are getting buyers from somewhere. We're going to talk about what that means. We were talking earlier in the week about FOMO, the fear of missing out. It also works in reverse. There's a fear of being the sucker, a fear of buying a house or selling a house when it's not the right time, because it's something to said about the keeping up with the Joneses. What's your interest rate? That's something that you brag about sometimes. So that being said, there's still people moving, make no mistake about it. What we're going to talk about is how to get listings, because to me, it's the perfect time. The people getting ready to list their house, the people listing their houses, they are hearing the background noise as well. So they're feeling a little panicked. So we're going to talk about just different ways out of the ordinary how you could pick up listings by doing these tasks on a regular basis. The first one would be a Airbnb VRBO. So I've been looking at those sites a lot because I want to dabble in it. I want to own an Airbnb. That's part of what I want to add to my portfolio. That being said, man, there's a lot of them out there, a lot of them around you, a lot of them wherever you live. I bet there's Airbnbs. So contacting, and the cool thing is it's got their contact information right there. You may just shoot them an email, shoot them a text, introduce yourself, say, hey, beautiful house. If I had a client pre-approved, would you be interested in selling it ever? And it just opens the door for conversation that maybe at some point in time, there's no maybe about it. There's some Airbnbs that's just not going to do well, especially around here. You almost need a unique property. You need something either around airport, downtown, reservoir, something like that. So somebody's dreaming of being a millionaire with Airbnbs, and they built one, they made one, flipped a house, whatever, and it's just not working out. You can actually go on and see the rental history. I like to look at their reviews, see how many they're getting a month, things like that. See when they first posted it.
On Airbnb, you can find it on Airbnb.
Absolutely, you get on Airbnb and just look at the calendar. Just look at the reviews. Be a detective. Get on there and be a detective on that property. Look it up, see when they bought it. Things like that.
See how much it's rented and how much they pay.
So much. All those things are important. And then reach out and say, hey, would you be interested in selling? Their numbers, their emails, they're easy to get in touch with. So if you literally emailed or texted every single Airbnb owner out there once every 2 to 3 months, and just stick them all in your CRM. Just get on Airbnb, stick them in your CRM, pre-make your text and your email once every 3 months, send it out to all of them. You just never know. One of those jokers, the math is on your side that if you do that, you're going to get a listing or two a year. You're just going to. So Airbnbs, all the information is right there. There are a lot of them out there. And I guarantee you could run across somebody. So the next one would be rental homes. Kind of the same thing. There are a lot of people with homes for rent. And the phone numbers, again, are right there. Just call and say, hey, you have any interest in selling? You would be surprised how many times people would say, what do you think it's worth? I would comp it before you before you
Sure.
did and say, hey, mister, I'm sure that you probably are aware, but if you're not, that home is worth such and such. I could put it on the market, sell it for this. Remember, Mississippi is a non-disclosure state, meaning the average person can't get access to that information. They don't know what houses are selling for in the neighborhood. They know there's estimate, but most people have it taught in their head that the estimate's just not right. People just kind of know that.
It's not written in stone.
It's not written in stone. So if they see it's worth 250, but man, ain't no way this house is worth it. My house is like that. It's sending me emails saying 340, and I'm like, there's no way. So reaching out to these people that own rentals, just add that, and don't just do it for a week. I'm talking build a system. How can I do this efficiently? Because it's not efficient just to log in your computer and start picking up the phone and calling people. You need a system put in place, and you could build that around your CRM, notebook and paper, spreadsheet, however you stay organized. Use that system and start writing all the addresses down, names, phone numbers, put them somewhere. Write notes about what you talked about, or if they even answered the phone.
Right.
That way you'll know next time when you call them, because you're not going to get very far calling people once or texting once or emailing once. It's a long game. We're playing the long game here. If you do one or two of these systems for a year, you're setting yourself up for a continuous listings later on. So another one is a great tip. I don't have one in front of me, of the little brochures, putting them at storage units, places that rent storage units. I picked up a few flips from storage units, just one. I just got to know the lady. She had called me, Ryan, these people's house just burned down. You may want to give them a call. She'd give me their contact, and I just reach out and say, hey, how can I help you? They also are some of the first people that knows that people are moving. They're going to get the heads up. Hey, this person's checking out. Their stuff has been in this room, and they called and said, hey, we're leaving in next month, so we're not going to renew. So you may get in with some of those people at the storage unit places and get to know them. A lot of leads can come from there. Another one would be retirement homes. A lot of times at a retirement home, it's expensive. It's expensive to stay there. And most of the time, well, not most, but a lot of the time, whoever's going into the retirement home is selling their house and using that equity to pay for the retirement home.
Yeah.
Right. So when somebody comes in to apply, they'll say, okay, this is what it costs to stay here. And they may say, well, my house is paid for. Well, that's when they need a real estate professional to come in and to help them through that. So if you know anybody in that business, you may want to reach out. Next one is attorneys. Closing attorneys, real estate attorneys. Google around probate. So if you don't know what probate is, it's something where a transaction or something may need to go through the court and let the judge approve the sale. And sometimes that'll take a little time. An attorney usually has to prepare it. Usually when somebody passes away, it's going to go down to the siblings, and probate's going to make sure everybody gets their fair share. How this is beneficial to you is usually if something's going through probate, they're going to call an attorney, let them file their paperwork. Then once everything's done and the judge says, okay, you can sell it, that's when they're eager to sell. I mean, they're ready to go. They're looking for a realtor. What you want to do is get in with whoever attorneys that do probates and say, hey, what do you got? You got any probates, any people I could maybe market to pick up a listing and be prepared for when it's done, or either go ahead and find a buyer, let people know, hey, I can go ahead and list this, and just let people know it's got to go through probate and be court approved. It usually doesn't take long, but people may not know that. They may need to think that we have to have clear title before we can sell it. So the last one I really wanted to talk about was NOD. Does anybody know what an NOD is? It's a notice of default. If you don't pay your mortgage, you get a notice of default.
Yeah,
And
2 months, I think.
and after 3 months, that bank can file a foreclosure. So if you're looking on Zillow and you're looking at pre-foreclosures, that means that person has been served
And warned.
from a notice of default. It does not mean that house is going in foreclosure. It just means they've been served. They're from 1 month to 3 months late. Different banks will serve you in different times, but it's basically a notice. You've not paid your note. Don't forget, we can start the foreclosure process after 3 months. So once you see that pre-foreclosure, that's a very, very sensitive subject to me, because you have to approach something like that very, very sensitive and careful, because that person's going through a hard time. And usually when somebody's going through a hard time, what happens?
They make rash decisions.
You ever seen a turtle and you walk up to the turtle and kick it? They just jump down in their shell and they put their shell up. And it's the same way somebody that's going through a hard time, humans do. We get in our shell. We don't trust anybody. Everybody's out to get us, especially with this. So this is their house. This is probably their most prized possession, but still, it's better to catch things on the front end. I've helped a few people through foreclosures. It's not easy. And once it gets to that foreclosure status, it's like a freight train that you cannot stop sometimes, depending on the lender. So it's hard to get somebody to trust you, to listen, to say, if you're having problems, hey, if you can pay your bill and you're late, that's great. But if you've maybe lost your job, lost some type of income where you can't pay it anymore, it's cheaper just to sell it now or sell it as a short sale than it would be to get it foreclosed on. A lender, so if you, I listen to a lot of books and different things on that, on foreclosures. The stats are, if somebody misses their payment and they know they missed their payment, every piece of mail, every email, everything that lender sends them goes unopened. They just stick it in a pile. They don't want to deal with it. They say, I don't have the money. There's no sense. I know what the lender says. The lender says I'm late. I don't want to look at it. It goes unopened. So that being said, when somebody's late on their payment, that lender is just wanting communication. If that person is communicating and say, hey, I know I'm late, I promise you, we're going to get it right, that lender will not foreclose on you. It's only when the communication stops. So that being said, getting somebody to open up to you that might be going through a foreclosure sometimes tough. A lot of times you'll get, it's not for everybody. But at the same time, that's going to be the most rewarding that you'll ever feel, is if you come in and take somebody that was about to be foreclosed. And right now, everybody in America is sitting on more equity than ever before. So chances are you could get them a profit instead of a short sale.
With this market, short sales aren't
there's
real.
not many short sales. So unless the house is trashed, you're probably going to turn them in from a foreclosure to making 10 or 15,000 and save the debt. Honestly, save their credit. It's just a matter of taking any of these any of these things that we talked about and doing them on a continuous basis. These notices are on Zillow. You know, they are 3 foreclosures. They're posted once they go through the process. They're posted at the courthouse
Or at the banks.
or at the banks. Yeah, different places. So there's a lot of places you can get that information. It's just the Airbnbs. It's a Google step away. Rentals, they're everywhere. Storage units, there again, they're everywhere. Think about who you may know in your sphere, and once you work those people, just do stop bys, do a pop by through. If you just Google probate attorneys and start calling some of these attorneys on a repetitious basis and say, hey, you know, I'm Jalisha, I'm great at working with some probates. You got any land or anything that you might be selling? And if you do this continuously, you will get listings. So people want to hire people who are wanting to work and do a good job. I promise you that. People that hire people that are going to cut grass, do the roof, do plumbing work, realtor work, their mechanics, whoever, they're going to go with the person that they think is eager, that wants the work, is going to appreciate the work, and is going to want and appreciate the work bad enough to do a great job no matter what it is. And you're willing to do anything at that point, and that's what you want to convey to any of these people. Say, hey, just give me a shot. I may not be your relative that's a real estate agent, but I promise you, I'm going to work hard for you and sell yourself. And most of the times you'll get that listing over a family member or whatnot. Any questions on those creative ways to get listings?
Oh,